Someone in the comments suggested that I make a video about my top 5 evolutions, pre-evolutions, and mega-evolutions that I wanted, or something to that case. I may have changed it to my own way. And let me tell you, coming up with this list was not easy. Pokemon! 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 Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to a Pokemon discussion. Or another one, I guess. I don't know. Whatever you want it to be. Anyway, today as I said in my little cold opening there, we're going to do the top 5 mega evolutions, pre-evolutions, and mega evolutions of that I want. These aren't Pokemon that already exist, but Pokemon that do not exist. That's the way that I did it. If that's not what that person wanted me to do on the comments, I apologize. But basically, these are brand new Pokemon. Basically, they're just made up hypothetical examples, and I figured why not make a video about it, and I would be perfectly fine to do this. So basically, like I said, they're going to be top 5 each. Top 5 pre-evolutions, top 5 evolutions, top 5 mega-evolutions. And I've already said it was not easy to come up with this list. I am more than willing to accept something else, and I do not expect any of this else to happen. Also, just some quick notes. I can't draw, so I will do my best to describe it. There is one in specific that I will have an example photo of. I cannot draw worth of anything, so sorry you're not going to see any images of what I'm trying to say here, but I will at least add the images of the Pokemon they're related to. So if they're related to, say, Pikachu, I'd put a picture of Pikachu. Thankfully, none of them are related to Pikachu. Also, if you don't like my list, that's fine. If you want, feel free to create your own in the comment section or your own video and upload it to the internet. You can do whatever you want in this particular instance. Okay, so first off, there need to be some conditions for my top 5. Condition 0, because I kind of thought of this after I made the other 3 conditions. But basically, the very first condition is this list was made on July 26, 2015. So basically, as yesterday, I managed to finish this all up. So, this is important to note because if one of these Pokemon end up getting Mega Evolutions that I say otherwise, or Pre-Evolutions, or Evolutions, or whatever, I don't want you to be like, I made it up as this was revealed, or something like that. Basically, if something in the future is revealed or not revealed, basically this is just a preference list, if you want to be that case or whatever. Also, for number 2, basically, sorry, number 2, pre-evolutions can only be given to standalone Pokemon. This is important for any list making. For some Pokemon, you might think, oh, okay, well, Noivern is a pretty big Pokemon. Noibat isn't. What if we were to give a pre-evolution to Noibat? I want to avoid that in my particular list. So I'm only going to choose Pokemon that seem, for pre-evolutions, I'm only going to choose Pokemon that seem like they can have a pre-evolutions because they're already strong-ish as an evolved Pokemon already, and therefore I will give pre-evolution. And in case you don't know, standalone is my terminology that a lot of other people use, but I specifically refer it to Pokemon that cannot evolve or do not evolve into something. Also, that excludes legendaries, obvious legendaries. Okay, so that's for pre-evolutions. Evolutions can only be given to a Pokemon that are either a standalone or have evolved once. Pokemon with Mega Evolutions are automatically disqualified. This means that if it can evolve into or from something, it can evolve. Legendaries obviously are excluded in this. So something like Lanoon having an evolution, even though that's not on the list, is fine. Something like Seviper having an evolution would probably be okay. But Pokemon like Sableye, no. Absol, no. Houndoom, no, because they already have Mega Evolutions. And nothing like Butterfree having another evolution, because that would only be Mega Evolutions. Okay, so then finally, Mega Evolutions can only be applied to standalone Pokemon or evolved Pokemon. This may also include Mega Evolutions of hypothetical evolved Pokemon, but I will not make it that complex. So if I create like an evolution for Lanoon, which I didn't, but I would then think that a Mega Evolution for that Pokemon would be acceptable. But I didn't do that. I made sure to not do that. But that is fine. If you are going to make a list based on these conditions, then feel free to create your hypothetical next generation evolution of a pre-generation Pokemon and then give it a Mega Evolution if you want. It's entirely up to you. I'm just saying that I didn't do that, but it was allowed based on the conditions that I set for myself. Basically, any pre-evolved Pokemon will not get a Mega Evolution for my particular list. So Pikachu won't get a Mega Evolution, or Pichu, or Cleffa, Clefairy. You know, those won't get Mega Evolutions. So that's the conditions I set. It's possible the reason why I came up with this list so hard is because I had to have conditions, but whatever. Also, I made sure, let me just check real quick, that none of the Pokemon cross, so if there was an evolution of a Pokemon or a pre-evolution of a certain Pokemon, that particular Pokemon that I gave a pre-evolution wouldn't have an evolved or a Mega Evolution. So like if I gave a pre-evolution to Absol, if Absol didn't have Mega Evolution, I gave a pre-evolution to Absol. I didn't give Absol a Mega Evolution. Just as a hypothetical example of what I mean. So anyway, we're going to start off with pre-evolutions, go to evolutions, and then go to Mega Evolution, since I feel like that would be in order. Pre-evolutions, okay, and then they evolve, and then it would be further Mega Evolution. So that's what I did. So anyway, let's start this up. Also, these top 5 are not in any particular order, just the 5 that I chose. Some I might prefer others, and some were easier than others, but just to be clear, they're not in any particular order. So basically, number 1 is Lapras. Why I think Lapras needs a pre-evolution. Lapras is big, and by base stat total, it is definitely strong enough to be considered evolved Pokemon with a base stat total of 535, because that's like the general base stat total of a lot of evolved Pokemon is around 535, 520, 500 and stuff. So a pre-evolution would be given so that Lapras can still maintain a rarity by having it only be caught from evolving said brand new Pokemon. Basically, like, you know how Lapras was extremely rare in the first generation, it was only a gift Pokemon. Then they introduced the concept of second generation, including Lapras being a Pokemon that can be found only on Fridays. I believe that's what second generation did. And then in further generations, you can basically find Lapras in the wild all you want. Basically, what I want to do is to go back and make Lapras rare. And then by doing that, you can only get this Pokemon by getting the pre-evolution, which would be found normally in the wild and stuff, and then have it be evolved into a Lapras. Of course, this particular pre-evolution would basically be rare to find to begin with. It'd be like, it wouldn't be as rare as Feebas, for example. We all know how rare Feebas was third generation. Basically, you had to have someone trade their Feebas to you and then just use Ditto to breed, because that was the only way you can get a Feebas otherwise, because I never understood that concept of finding the right fishing spot for Feebas. That always annoyed me. I never actually did. I don't think I ever was able to find a Feebas in the wild by fishing in third generation because of that darned fishing spot. I basically had to trade with somebody and then just ditto any other Feebas that I wanted. Of course, Milotic isn't exactly a Pokemon that I really desired, so basically Feebas and Milotic were only captured and gotten for Pokedex purposes. So anyway, as for what I would think Lapras's pre-evolution would look like, I figured it would, at first I thought it would be something like Shellos and stuff, but you know, Shellos is a slug type Pokemon. I mean, it's not exactly a slug type Pokemon, but it's based off of a slug, and it doesn't exactly look that interesting. So basically, now I've decided that I'm thinking the baby Lapras creature will basically look like a little baby Lapras, but without its shell on it. So it'll be without its shell, and it'll be like really tiny. Well, Lapras is like pretty big. It's like what, 5 foot or 6 foot or something like that. So I would expect something like maybe 1 foot or 2 foot. You know, just like maybe like half or quarter of the size of Lapras now, something like that, and it would just be a little itty bitty Lapras Pokemon thing, and it would look underdeveloped. Sorry, I can't draw. I wish I could portray what I mean. Basically, it would look like a Lapras pre-evolution. If you want to imagine that all you want. So then the next one. Number 2. Tropius. Why I think it needs a pre-evolution. Tropius is bigger than me. At about 6 foot 7 inches. I don't know how technically tall I am, but on my driver's license it says I'm 6 foot 2. So basically, but surprisingly enough, Tropius does way less than me. Probably would make sense since it is a grass-flying Pokemon. While it doesn't have the best base stat total, I do think that I think it was like what, 450 or something, 435 or something of that nature would allow it to have a pre-evolution, because I'm sure there are evolved Pokemon that have similar base stat totals of Tropius, and it's not like Tropius can have an evolution because Tropius is already huge. It could have a Mega Evolution, but definitely not an evolution. So basically, yeah, that's also why, but that's not the only reason why. So the Tropius. So the main reason why is because I've always thought about this, and I thought how cool it would be to have a pre-evolution for Tropius, and basically this Tropius would be a very small, stunted version of Tropius, and it would have berries on its head. You know how Tropius has like bananas growing from its chin, but they don't call it bananas basically because it's just its favorite fruit, and bananas, I guess, technically don't exist in the Pokemon world as they are. They're just similar, I guess. But I'm not sure. I think apples do exist, so maybe bananas do exist, but maybe these aren't technically bananas. They just look like bananas. So this little pre-evolution would have berries on its head, and it would grow berries instead of bananas. I thought that'd be a really nice touch. I don't know if Tropius growing bananas and growing fruit should only apply to Tropius, while the pre-evolution doesn't have anything like that. I'm not really sure, but I think it'd be really cute to have a baby Tropius looking pre-evolution with berries on top of its head. Also, just to note that while this pre-evolution can glide, because it would have the capability of gliding, it just wouldn't have the flying type. So basically it gains the flying type during evolution, so it would just be pure grass. And I would be perfectly fine with that. Number 3. Now, this is a shared pre-evolution because I've always wanted something like this. And, of course, this is a pre-evolution for Tauros and Miltank. Now, this is probably never going to happen because they are kind of different with each other, and they're not too similar, but they are based on cattle Pokemon, and Tauros is a male-only Pokemon, while Miltank is a female Pokemon, so it's kind of like Volbeat and Illumise. So like I said, it would be nice if there was a pre-evolution that connected to both Pokemon. And, of course, said Pokemon pre-evolution would have a drastic gender difference. If it was a female pre-evolution Pokemon, it would look like Miltank a little bit more. It'd have more pink. It would have that bell, or that, well, not bell, but that ball tail. If it was Tauros, it'd be like more brown colored, and it would have its 3 tails, and then it would evolve into either Tauros or Miltank. Now, I realize that, it might not happen because, like I said, they're a little bit different. They're not the same. So Tauros is basically based off your regular cattle that you can possibly find in the real life, just attach 2 tails. give it horns or something, and it'll probably look exactly like Tauros almost. For Miltank, it's more of a bipedal cattle Pokemon. It's basically a cow that can walk on two legs, kind of like that one movie, Barnyard Animals, you know, if you've seen that, with the male cow things or whatever. So yeah, but I still think it would be really nice to have something that connected both of them. You know, it'll likely never happen because I think Game Freak basically thinks Tauros and Miltank are so different, but it really wouldn't bother me to have a pre-evolution because one is male and one is female, and you know, having something where they connect to each other. I think they can actually breed with each other. I think they're in the same egg Pokemon, and if there's not, I'll make a text telling you that it's not the case. But if they can breed with each other, I'm not sure if this would be proper. I'm not really sure. I mean, it would probably be Miltank that would come out as a result. I'm not really sure because they're both. I'll look and see. But if they can, then it would make sense that they could potentially have a pre-evolution that connects them. Granted, there are a lot of breeding options that don't make any sense in the real life, if this was real life, but just saying, it would make sense to give them a pre-evolution. So anyway, then we get into some that are really hard to choose. Those were actually easy because I think I've already kind of thought of those before, but the harder ones is we're going to start with number 4, Druddigon. Now, like I said, this was hard, but I ultimately chose Druddigon for a few reasons. One, it's a pretty big and strong Pokemon for a standalone Pokemon. I mean, it's definitely not the strongest dragon type out there, but it is very big, so imagining some kind of evolution doesn't make any sense. So how about a pre-evolution? Secondly, I feel like giving it a pre-evolution would give more purpose for Druddigon. Like it would add other dragon Pokemon to the number of dragon Pokemon there are. It'd give it one more dragon type, and that would be really nice for something like Druddigon. It would be for like collection purposes, you know, you get it like a baby Druddigon, and then it'd be like if you like Druddigon, then maybe you'll enjoy a baby Druddigon or something that you can keep that can eventually evolve into Druddigon. That's kind of the whole kind of point of pre-evolutions, to give more focus to the Pokemon, to give them more reason to exist outside of just being standalone Pokemon that can't really evolve because they're kind of too strong or too big already to evolve. I mean, for Tropius, we don't want like a 10-foot evolution, do we? I mean, you may want to, but I don't know if I'd want one. But anyway, as for what this baby Druddigon would look like, I'm not really sure. I made a comparison here that it'd probably be the difference of like how Tyran and Tyrantrum is between each other. They look very similar, but they're obviously different with each other. So I feel like it would probably be something like that. It'll probably be. I made a suggestion here that its pre-evolution would be like more red than blue, but it would have the same kind of coloring. It'd be a lot more simplistic than Druddigon, as hard as that might be. But yeah, it would be clearly a pre-evolution. It would be really small. It might look a little different in its face, so it'd look a little different. It might be a lot smoother. Might look similar to even like Agumon, the Digimon. You know, I don't know what it would look like, but you know, basically it would be clear that it could evolve into Druddigon. So then we get into the last one of my top 5. This one was hard to come up with because of standalone Pokemon. There just wasn't a lot of standalone Pokemon that was fine. And so basically I chose Pinsir as the one to get the pre-evolution. And it was either between Pinsir and Heracross. I was actually choosing between Pinsir and Heracross, and I ultimately decided on Pinsir. Just because Heracross would seem like an obvious choice to choose, and I wanted to choose something that would seem less likely. But I'm more than perfectly happy with a pre-evolution for Heracross. I just chose Pinsir. And it would be interesting to see Pinsir with pre-evolution. Anyway, it would be more unique, as I said. As for what this pre-evolution Pinsir would look like, I'm thinking it would look like a beetle version of Spinarak, or maybe something like Trapinch, but with miniature versions of Pinsir's pincers. Yeah, thanks, whoever named Pincer. He couldn't think of anything better, like Pincereedle or something. Pinceedle or Beetle Sensor. I don't know, but Pincers. That's gonna be really hard. So anyway, so basically it wouldn't be bipedal like Pincer seems to appear. It would be basically quadruped, or it would be like on its legs or feet, or however you want to look at it. It would walk on its feet and legs and move that way, but it would look like a small version of Pincer with some differences, obviously. But basically it would like work the way it would, like kind of like it would kind of be like Tepig versus Embor kind of situation. I'm choosing Embor because it's a lot bigger than Pignite. So basically, that's kind of what it'd be like. This pre-evolution would kind of be like Tepig, but then when it evolved, it'd be like more like Embor or Pinsir. So that's what I'm thinking. So I think that's pretty much it. I guess we're going to move on to evolutions. And I made a little note here. Evolutions, this one was really hard for me to do. And I had to come up with some pretty unique Pokemon to deserve evolution. I just wasn't feeling other Pokemon to get potential evolutions, and I chose ones that fit best what I was thinking of what I wanted for evolutions. So yeah, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna basically get what I felt made sense for evolutions, not necessarily ones that were the most deserving of evolutions, just the ones that I felt likely could deserve an evolution or earn an evolution, and hopefully none of the Pokemon I list end up getting Mega Evolutions, because that's like the death that Game Freak created to avoid giving evolutions to past generations Pokemon. So let's go to number 1, Dunsparce. I'm really hoping that Game Freak does not give a Mega Evolution to Dunsparce. I really think that even though it's 5 feet, that I still think that it could earn a 7-foot evolution of some sort or whatever. Basically, Dunsparce really only exists because it has a gimmick wrapped around it. It has Serene Grace, which doubles the effectiveness of added effects to moves. So like something like Headbutt, I think it's 30% to flinch the opponent. With Dunsparce having Serene Grace, it actually doubles it. Even though it does have a strong contender for having a Mega Evolution, I still feel like having an evolution would just be a lot better, because I feel like Dunsparce needs a permanent change, and the only way to do that is to have an evolution, because Mega Evolution is always temporary. Now, I think the most likely evolution for Dunsparce is probably going to be it evolving into a normal dragon type Pokemon capable of flight, because Dunsparce can fly already because it has wings, and I don't know how far it can fly, but we've seen Dunsparce flying within the anime. So I think it would look like a dragon, and probably more draconian, probably look more like a Gyarados type dragon looking creature than Charizard or Salamence or something, or it'd probably look like Rayquaza if Rayquaza didn't have any arms. So it'd kind of look like that. It'd be like a serpentine dragon. So I guess like Serperior, but with a dragon type and a normal type. Something of that nature. As for other evolution types, I'm not really sure. I did think of a Hydra type evolution for Dunsparce, but I'm not sure how much that makes any sense. And we already have a Hydra Pokemon with Hydreigon. So I'm not sure Dunsparce would make any logical sense to evolve into. So I'm not sure how much it would make sense, but it'd be interesting. So anyway, let's move on to number 2, Qwilfish. Qwilfish is kind of a Pokemon that's just there. People either recall it easily or conveniently forgot it. Mega Evolution, I doubt will do any good for it, so why not boost it straight for an evolution? And that's because I think Qwilfish is too weak of a Pokemon to get a Mega Evolution, that a Mega Evolution just wouldn't serve any purpose. So in terms of evolution, I expect a bigger, more sinister looking Qwilfish, like a scarier version of Wailmer, like that big. I'm talking about that. That's what Qwilfish would evolve into, would be something Wailmer sized, or even just not as big, but something close to that size, and it would just look like Qwilfish, but it'd be like more sinister and evil. And I said here that it would definitely focus on attack and defense and still retain its water poison typing. So I think that'd be pretty interesting. So anyway, let's move on because that's all I have for Quillfish. Really, there's like really nothing else to say other than Quillfish is weak enough that I think it can have an evolution. Now here goes into probably the more difficult one to accept choice for evolution, but this is because I want this to happen, and it's basically Marowak. Marowak evolves from Cubone, so it's not a Pokemon that is excluded from my conditions. Now, I realize that people are going to be like, hold on, Dustin, no, Marowak is fine, it has Thick Club, but my idea of an evolution is that it can't use Thick Club in any way, so it's not like it would benefit from whatever Thick Club does. I think Thick Club doubles the attack, so even if this Marowak evolution were to have a strong physical attack, it's not like Thick Club would actually do anything for said Marowak evolution. And I'm sure there is some way to program it so that Pokemon who are evolved just don't get the benefits of said evolution. You know, the reason why I always wanted a Marowak evolution is because, well, frankly, I think Cubone and Marowak are really cool, awesome ground types. They may not be the best, but they're pretty cool ground types. Cubone is kind of cute, they're interesting, they're mysterious, and I've always wanted something like that on Ash's team. I've always wanted Ash in a filler saga to capture a Cubone and evolve it into a Marowak, and if it had a next generation evolution, then evolve Marowak into said Pokemon in the future. So that's what I've always wanted Ash to have. Cubone is one of those Pokemon that I thought would be really nice for Ash to have because I really like Cubone, I really like Ash, and I feel like it would make sense. So hopefully if this happens. So what do I think of a Marowak evolution? Well, the thing is, if you remember in first generation games and any of the remakes and revolved around Lavender Town, you would know that Team Rocket killed the Marowak and its ghost haunted Pokemon Tower. That's just what it is. Pokemon Tower. And I felt like they really kind of left it vague. I mean, it was fine that there was ghost Pokemon, actual ghost of Pokemon, not the type of ghost Pokemon. But I decided maybe they should kind of expand on that idea of a Pokemon that has relations to ghosts. Because if you know anything about Cubone, Cubone wears the skull of its mother, basically Marowak's skull on Cubone, even though Cubone and Marowak look a little bit different. So Cubone wears the mask of its mother Marowak. So I decided maybe if they expand that and give Marowak a ghost ground evolution, or ground ghost ground, however you want to look at it, however you want which typing to go first, I guess it doesn't really matter one way or the other. But basically a ghost ground type Pokemon, and I think that would make perfect sense for a Pokemon like Cubone and Marowak, who have to deal with like death and resulting in death. As for what it would look like, I have a picture. It would look like a shade almost. It would be like a Marowak body structure, a little bit bigger than Marowak body structure of a shade, and you'll actually see a picture of a shade over here. This is the Pokemon that I said in the beginning would have an image of what I'm trying to say. Basically, a shade kind of looks like flames almost. You could say it looks like a flame, just a dull colored flame. It would basically be a colorless flame, I guess, or whatever. And that's what Marowak's evolution would look like. It would look like a shade, but be like Cubone or Marowak. And basically, yeah, that it would look like that. Basically, it would look similar to that. It would look like Marowak's. It would look like an evolution of Marowak. I could see the skull that Marowak had being a little bit more deformed and more sinister looking, more ghost-like or whatever. So that's what I expect for an appearance of said a Marowak evolution. So, like I said, just imagine the picture that I already showed you. So then let's move on to the next one. And these last two are actually pretty long too. First one is a Pokemon that I've actually thought would be really cool to have an evolution, and that's of course Ledian. Ledian is a bug flying type, and I always figured that it would make sense to give it an evolution because Ledian is not that strong of a Pokemon, and I feel like an evolution would definitely make sense for an evolution. However, my particular condition is that it can only have a female only evolution, so kind of like Frostlass, but excluding Glalie, basically. Mothim or Wormadam, there would be like a difference here, but basically what I want is a female only Ledian, and it's because Ledian's appearance seems like it would actually make kind of sense to imagine a female only evolution. And I'll get into what I think a female only Pokemon would look like. So basically, this one is actually different from all the other Pokemon that I have in terms of pre-evolutions and evolutions. Mega evolutions don't count, but this is the only evolution or Pokemon that I'm creating, basically, to say that needs an own evolution that is going to actually get a name. And I really want an evolution of Ledian that looks like this to be considered to be called Ledistar. And that's because Ledian is basically the 5-star Pokemon, so I want it to build upon this theme of a star, basically. So I want Ledian to evolve into Ledistar, something of that nature. So basically, yeah, Ledistar, that's the name of this particular Pokemon. And it would have its own ability. It'd have a unique ability introduced for it. Other Pokemon can have this ability, of course, but basically this is Ledistar would be most known for this particular ability. They'd probably have to come up with brand new Pokemon to fit this ability because this ability fits Ledistar the most. I mean, I suppose Volbeat and Illumise, assuming they don't have 3 abilities, possibly could have this as a alternative hidden ability, assuming they don't already have one. But basically, the ability is called Glowing Body. And basically, my idea is because Ledistar wouldn't have exactly the strongest attack stat or special attack stat, and it would only be slightly stronger than Ledistar, probably like 50 points or something like that, just so it could be an evolution and it would be a little bit stronger. But basically, Glowing Body, what it does is that during nighttime, Ledistar's attack stat doubles. I don't know if this includes I don't know if this includes the special attack. I'm not really sure, but basically, look at Ledian's strongest attack stat. If it has a stronger attack stat or a stronger special attack stat, then that's what Glowing Body would double in Ledistar, because Ledistar would increase just a little bit so that it would be that strong during the night. Also, but the thing is, during the day, the attack stats are reduced by 25%, and especially in harsh weather, it's reduced by half. So basically, Ledistar is definitely a nighttime usable Pokemon. Now, this isn't to be worried. This doesn't mean that you can only use Ledistar during the nighttime and that during the day it's completely useless. There will be, of course, an ability, or not an ability, a move that can be used to simulate night. We have Sunny Day. It increases the weather, or it creates harsh sunny weather, like sun. Basically, I think if you use Sunny Day, then Solar Beam can be used instantly. Basically, it creates a more weather effect. Oh, and also I'd have to say that for something like Groudon, I think that has strong hot weather, I think that would actually reduce Glowing Body by 75%. And definitely during storms, when it's raining or something, Ledistar will, of course, get an additional boost then. It won't be as strong as pure nighttime, but basically during stormy weather, it'd be like an increase of 25%, basically. But it probably wouldn't change for like Kyogre's ability, I believe. Primordial, or whatever, the Kyogre ability that Kyogre has in terms of weather, I think that is probably what it won't change. So anyway, basically this temporary night is basically a 5-turn environmental weather effect or something like that that simulates night, and moves that are affected during the night are affected by it, and those that are affected by nighttime moves that are usually affected during the day, they'll also be affected by this move as well. Now, as for what Letty Star would look like, I'm thinking it would have glowing hair. I don't know if it would actually be hair. I don't know what bugs actually have. I don't know if they have like fur or hair or little hairs or something. I'm not sure what some insects have. Like tarantulas, I don't know what tarantulas have, and tarantulas kind of have like a furry, hairy body or something. I don't know what that actually is, but it would be kind of like that. But it would like have glowing hair. During the day or whatever, it would look like a darkish coloring. I don't know what something that glows in the dark would look like in the bright light or whatever, but basically during the nighttime or when it's dark, that's when the glowing hair will glow really bright and it'll look really cool. Letty Star will of course have star patterns all over its body. Um, as opposed to, I think Lettian has like spots like a ladybug. So basically, I'm hoping for something like that. So basically, I want Letty Star to exist because it would be a continuance of Lettian's message of being a 5-star Pokemon, and I also made a mention here that I forgot that Ledian powers up. Apparently, it uses the energy of the stars, so I figured something that would improve upon that would make sense for Letty Star. It grows stronger during nighttime because there's the body allows it to grow stronger and allows it to grow bright, and therefore it can actually flourish. And it would also get strength from the stars and moon and stuff, which is why during the storms, no matter what it is, it's not going to improve very much, but it will increase its attack stats a little bit. Like I said, it depends what Ledian's strongest attack stat, or if they're even, depends on what Glowing Body does. But basically, Glowing Body doubles the attack stat during the nighttime. So definitely it is a Pokemon to be feared during the night. If you were thinking that it was just going to be weak. Of course, it'll probably keep its bug flying type. I suppose it could change to a bug fairy type or something. I'm not really sure, or even a fairy flying type and removes its bug typing completely. It's all entirely up, but I'm perfectly fine it keeping its bug flying type. Probably I would prefer bug fairy, but it can still fly, just doesn't have anything that can use that ability. I don't know if Ledian can actually use fly. If it can't, I'll make a note here, and then I won't have to worry about its flying type. Okay, so then we're going to go to the final Pokemon. Man, this is going to be a long video. The last Pokemon is something that happened out of coincidence. I don't think I ever thought of Torkoal, or, well, I already gave it away! The 5th Pokemon is Torkoal. Congratulations, moron. Dustin, moron, you moron, for revealing it. I was trying to give it a little detail or whatever. So, yes, Torkoal. Now, basically, the reason why I thought of this is because I don't think I ever thought of Torkoal as a Pokemon that could evolve or should evolve or whatever, even though it probably could evolve based on its stats. But basically, if you were in the Pokemon forums, especially Cerebi, during the during the 4th generation, I believe, you will have heard of, at least in the Pokemon anime, not necessarily the games, but in the anime, you would have heard something about a rumor going around that said that that Ash was going to bring back Torkoal, and it was going to evolve. And that was pretty surprising because Torkoal didn't have an evolution at that time, nor does it still have an evolution. So we were like worried that, oh, Torkoal's going to have an evolution of some kind, and it's going to be shown by Ash's Torkoal. As it turned out, however, that rumor was indeed false. And I think this rumor came around the time of Candace, I believe. I think we were about to head to Candace or something. There was some story along the lines that Ash would need Torkoal for some reason. But basically, it's been sitting on my mind since, and now that I think about it, it probably does make a lot of sense. Now, as for its hypothetical evolution, Torkoal is basically a tortoise Pokemon mixed with like a stove oven or some kind of furnace or something. But it's just basically a very basic furnace, sort of like a stone furnace. You know, it's not a rock type, but it basically might as well be a rock type. In fact, I've always wondered why Torkoal was just pure fire. whatever. So basically what I wanted was an evolution. Now, of course, what I wanted Torkoal to evolve into is basically a furnace or a forge or a smelter type Pokemon, and it would have elements of that. This Torkoal evolution would of course be Fire Steel, because that would make a lot of sense for a forge or smelter or some sort of furnace would make sense to have it be also steel. Now as for what it would look like, basically it would be a lot bigger than Torkoal is. I would say that it'd be close to being the same size as Avalugg or even Torterra. Not as big as them, but pretty close to what that I would imagine. It would have like a bigger, more evolved face, if you can imagine that. Sorry, I can't throw up a picture and show you what I mean, but basically Torkoal has like a smaller face or whatever. This Torkoal evolution would have like a bigger head or something, and it would also be wearing a metallic helmet on its head, and it would also have like horns and stuff. So basically it would be able to use Iron Head. Basically that'd probably be one of the steel type moves it can learn naturally, this particular evolution. And of course it would have stone oven thing that Torkoal had would definitely turn into a metallic forge, and it would like drip. You know how like liquid metal or whatever is like this very bright yellowish color? It looks kind of cool looking. It seems like, oh man, if that was a drink, I'd want to drink it because it might actually have an interesting taste. Of course, when you drink it, you die, but you know what I mean. It has that really beautiful yellowish color to it, and that's what liquid metal looks like. So basically we'd have that. And I know Torkoal has white smoke and stuff like that, and that's a very cool ability to have. But basically what I want is a unique ability for this Torkoal evolution. Now, I neglected to mention for evolutions and stuff, but basically I'm not entirely sure Game Freak is going to give 4 abilities to a Pokemon. So if I mention in the future a Pokemon that already has 3 abilities, whether they're hidden abilities or not, if I give them the 4 abilities, then you could just ignore it and just assume that they just have the same abilities. But basically what I want is these Pokemon to have these certain abilities. So for Torkoal, what it's going to have is a very unique ability that's kind of like Flame Body but different. One, it would not help eggs grow. That would be one thing that it would not do. But what it would do is for any time that either this Torkoal evolution or an opponent physically touch each other, whether it be from Iron Head, Torkoal's evolution using Iron Head, or Pikachu using Quick Attack, there's always a chance that that other Pokemon is going to be burned, like a good 50%. But that's not all. Of course, fire Pokemon are immune to this particular effect. But that's not all. There will also be damage dealt to this particular Pokemon. So if Pikachu uses Quick Attack against this Torkoal evolution, it's going to take some serious damage because that's what this ability does. It's like a very superior version of Flame Body. And Flame Body, I think when you make physical contact with the Pokemon that has this ability, you actually gain the burn effect. So anyway, that's basically it. I did make some little notes here that I think because of Torkoal's original base stat total that they can increase it to like 540. Of course it would have a strong attack and special attack, because I think Torkoal has even attack and special attack, and it would have a very powerful defense stat. Probably about 180 is what I expect for this particular Torkoal evolution, along with a 95 and 100 95 to 100 attack and special attack around there. It could be, of course, slower than Torkoal. Of course, 15, 10, or whatever. I don't really care. So basically, it is a very strong Pokemon. It's just very slow. And with a Fire Steel typing, ground type Pokemon would really wreck it. So hopefully, when you're using this Torkoal evolution, you bring a Pokemon that has Trick Room. And both Pokemon somehow manage to survive. Then you'd have to worry about this evolution. 180 defense stat, a strong attack and special attack. It's probably going to kill you, assuming you don't have like Earth power at your disposal. Anyway, actually, I'm going to actually cut this video here. Sorry that I can only get to evolutions and mega evolutions, but I don't want this video to be an hour long. So basically, right after this, I'm going to make the second part of this, and it's just going to be mega evolution. So anyway, I will see you in a moment, because I plan on uploading these pretty much at the same time as much as I can. I know YouTube only uploads one at a time, but I will publish both of these at the same time. I'll make sure to upload this one first. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.